video is sponsored by Neural DSP. All of the tones you hear are courtesy of the Archetype Revia plugin. You can download my preset and a trial of that plugin for free via the links in the description box. Hands up if you've ever learned a new scale, got excited to play a solo using said scale, and ended up playing a solo that sounded like this. We've all been there before when learning new scales. We learn the positions we're told to learn for the major scale, the natural minor, Dorian, Lydian, harmonic minor, you name it. We spend lots of practice hours committing the visual shapes of these scales to memory, which is straightforward enough, but that doesn't mean that once they're memorized, it's just as easy as throwing on a backing track and instantly playing solos that are full of tasteful phrases and note choices with whatever scale it may be that you've memorized. This is very common for guitar players. We get very attached to visual shapes and patterns, and when you're only thinking in terms of large visual shapes, you'll likely have a tendency to play through them very robotically in a way that sounds like, hey everyone, I just learned 7 positions of the Lydian scale, for example. And that's exactly what I was going for in that example that you just heard. And by the way, this lesson is definitely aimed at intermediate and even advanced players who already have some understanding of fundamental music theory concepts and particularly modes, where they come from and how they are constructed. So if you're watching this and you don't fit that description, but you want to one day, I would encourage you to check out my website, bulletproofguitarplayer.com, where you can learn all about the fundamentals of music theory and how it can be applied to the guitar in real-world scenarios to one day reach an advanced level of musicianship as a guitarist. Paying members of bulletproofguitarplayer.com have instant access to the bonus content for this lesson, which includes tab files, the backing track, and 3 bonus Lydian lick lessons that involve the Lydian pentatonic approaches described in this video. Sign up today via the link in the description box. I want to talk to you today about the dreamiest of the major scale modes, that being the 4th mode of the major scale, Lydian. If you've only learned modes by memorizing large visual patterns that contain 2 to 3 notes per string, you may have found it hard to improvise with this mode in a way that sounds like music and not scale practice. Fortunately, there are several solutions to this problem, and the one that I want to discuss today is the various pentatonic approaches you have available to you when you're improvising with Lydian. And I'll outline them for you now. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to teach you a lick that uses my favorite pentatonic approach with the Lydian mode. So one of these approaches is the major pentatonic built from the root note of Lydian. So if we're playing with E Lydian, that would mean playing with E major pentatonic. Another is the major pentatonic built from the 5th of Lydian, or the major scale from which the Lydian mode is derived. In E, that would be B major pentatonic, since E Lydian is the 4th mode of the B major scale. And the last option is another type of major pentatonic scale that I'll explain to you soon, but first I just want you to listen to these 3 pentatonic options over a drone in E major. This isn't improvisation, it's just me playing through the scales to give you an idea of what they sound like against the appropriate harmony. So the first 2 options, E major pentatonic and B major pentatonic, both worked, and they include different intervals from the E Lydian scale formula, but neither of them contain the interval or scale degree rather that makes Lydian sound Lydian. The note that gives Lydian its dreamy quality and separates it from the major scale is called a sharp 4. The scale formula for Lydian is 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7. The scale formula for the major pentatonic is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So if I play that with E as the root note over a backing track in E Lydian, there won't be any clashes because it only contains notes that are also found within the Lydian scale. So we know that that's a suitable option, but still it doesn't contain that crucial note that makes Lydian sound the way it does, that dreamy sharp fourth. You're also not getting the major seventh with this approach. So let's listen to that approach again. The major pentatonic scale built from the root of Lydian. What about the major pentatonic built from the root of the parent scale, that being B major? Well, now I have to talk about actual note names instead of just scale formulas, because when you think about it, these notes are still being played over an E Lydian sound, so they're not really being heard against a B root note, they're being heard against an E root note. So the notes of the B major pentatonic are B, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. If we look at those notes relative to E Lydian, F sharp is the second, G sharp is the third, B is the fifth, C sharp is the sixth, and D sharp is the seventh. So let's listen to that approach again. B major pentatonic over E Lydian. If we were to write that as a scale formula, it would be 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And those would all be relative to the root of the Lydian scale that it's being played over. So in our case, E would be the root note that's absent in this pentatonic approach. With this approach, you are getting in an interval that you don't get with the major pentatonic that's built from the root of the Lydian mode. So that would be the major seventh, but still there's no sharp 4 to be found. Maybe you can see where I'm going with this. The third and final pentatonic approach that we have for improvising with Lydian is one that does contain that sharp fourth. But like the last approach, it doesn't contain the root note from the Lydian mode. So how do you find it on the fretboard? What can you use as a reference point when you first get started using this mysterious pentatonic approach over Lydian? Well, simply put, it's playing a major pentatonic scale that is a tone higher than the root of the Lydian mode, meaning F sharp major pentatonic superimposed over E Lydian, because F sharp is a tone higher than E. Let's look at the notes of the F sharp major pentatonic relative to an E root note. So F sharp would be the major second, G sharp would be the major third, A sharp is the sharp 4, C sharp is the major 6th, and D sharp would be the major 7th. Let's hear it in action again. F sharp major pentatonic against an E drone. Hey everyone, we're going to get back to the lesson very soon, but I just want to take a chance to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, Neural DSP. For all of the tones that you're hearing in this video, I've been using their Archetype Rabia plugin, which is of course Rabia Massad's signature plugin, and I recently filmed a full demonstration of this plugin, so you can find that elsewhere on my channel. Like all Neural DSP plugins, this one is jam-packed with features. You've got 3 amps, 2 cabs, 6 microphones per side. You can load in your own IRs. There are room microphones, 4 pre-effects pedals, including a compressor, octaver, fuzz, and overdrive. In fact, those last three are actually two pedals in one, if you can believe it. So you get 2 octaves, 2 fuzz pedals, and 2 overdrives to play with. And unique to Rabea Massad's signature plugin, this is something that you don't get in any other Neural DSP plugins, is the mono synth. Now this gets its own page in the plugin, and it's a lot of fun to play with. And I'm saying that as someone who definitely wouldn't naturally gravitate towards an effect like a guitar synth sound, but it is generally loads of fun to play with. Post effects include incredibly versatile delay and reverb algorithms. You've got a parametric EQ, noise gate, a transpose tool so you can tune down without actually having to physically tune down your guitar. And you also get a feature called the doubler control, which when you're playing rhythm parts, dials in this really nice stereo spread. It's like you're double tracking in real time. On top of that, you get a very useful metronome to practice with and an onboard tuner as well. Today, I'm giving you my preset pack for Archetype Rabea for free. It contains all of the presets that I used in my demonstration video when the plugin was released. And it also includes the preset that I'm using for this specific video, which is called Squishy Lead. So that can all be downloaded for free along with a trial of the plugin via the links in the description box. Thank you to Neural DSP for sponsoring another video on the channel, and let's get back to the lesson. What I love about this pentatonic approach is that, as I just explained, it does contain the note that separates Lydian from the major scale, the sharp fourth. And hearing that note in a pentatonic structure, it reminds me of Steve Vai sounding licks. Now, I'm no expert on Steve Vai's playing style, but he is known for using Lydian in his compositions and improvisation, and I am sure I've heard him use this pentatonic approach. I just cannot for the life of me remember which songs I've heard him use it in, so leave a comment if you can think of any. And with that being said, I've got a lick for you to learn that uses this Lydian pentatonic approach of using a major pentatonic scale a tone above the roots of the Lydian mode. Now let's listen to that again, but at a slower tempo. So what am I doing here? Well, most of this is played on the top 2 strings, and I'm basically ascending through the positions of the F sharp major pentatonic over this E Lydian backing track, the chord progression to which consists of E major to F sharp 11. So I start in this position of the F sharp major pentatonic. And as I said, most of this is played on the top 2 strings. So we have this ascending pattern that we use to move through the positions of the scale, and the pattern goes like this. So we're going to slide from the lowest note in that position on the high E string up to the highest note in that position on the high E string. Then we're going to pick the highest note in that position on the B string, pick that, and pull off. So that's the pattern that we're going to use to slice our way through these scale positions up until a certain point. So let's look at how I move through the positions of the scale using that pattern. Okay, once again. Now I want to point out that at a few points in this lick already, I've hit that sharp 4 from Lydian, the note B flat. So the first time was here. That's another example there of a B flat, a sharp 4 there. And again. Now when I get up here, the pattern stops. So instead of continuing to go like this, I instead play this. So I'm sliding up on the high E, then up on the B, and then up on the high E again, and then down on the B string. And then from there, I descend the scale from the sharp 4 down to an F sharp. So, piecing all of that together, it sounds like this. If you want the tab for that lick and you're also interested in learning 3 bonus licks that use the Lydian pentatonic approaches described in this video, head to bulletproofguitarplayer.com, create an account, add a payment method, and then choose from a monthly or annual subscription plan to get access to all of my monthly bonus lessons, plus the full Bulletproof Guitar Player curriculum to help you break out of the lost intermediate rut if you've been stuck at the same level for months, years, or even a decade plus. Click the links in the description box to find out more. If this lesson was helpful, please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.